year is 1944. Abroad, America is embroiled in World War II. In Georgia, a 15-year-old boy is about to have a life-changing summer. He boards a train in Atlanta, heading north. In Washington, D.C., they switch from a segregated to an integrated line. This is the first time the young man has experienced integration. The destination? Simsbury, Connecticut. The young man? Martin Luther King, Jr. He had just been admitted to Morehouse College, a historically black college in Georgia. The school had partnered with Coleman Brothers Tobacco, a farm in Connecticut, to provide work opportunities for its students. In the South, most African Americans could only work through sharecropping. In this arrangement, they would not be able to earn money. The two organizations arranged for Morehouse College students to work at the farm for cash, with transportation costs paid if they finished the summer.
The folks from other states and other lands will make the tobacco farms their summer homes, and clean, comfortable dormitories make their stay pleasant and enjoyable. North and South work together in peaceful harmony. People of other states and other lands pitch in on a common problem. The Connecticut farmer's solution to his labor problem represents a triumph in social relations of national and international significance.
At Coleman's Meadowood tobacco farm, King was just like any other teenager.
But most of his day would be spent out in the sun, or out in the rain, harvesting tobacco leaves. And as I understand it, these were the big tobacco leaves that were used for wrapping cigars. They were not the tobacco leaves that went into the cigars or cigarettes. So it was a different kind of work. I guess that's the kind of tobacco leaf that grew best in the North. And according to one of King's friends, he and King were the two laziest guys on the farm. That they often, when no one was looking, they would take a nap under some of the big tobacco leaves.
But then he gets there and has this experience, and his friends ask him to be the Bible study leader, and he starts leading lessons and preaching there on the farm. And he says later, when he applies to divinity school, that that summer was the beginning of him feeling called to the ministry.
The First Church of Christ in Simsbury invited Morehouse College students to attend their services.
And this is Sunday morning in the Valley. The people of Connecticut have extended typical New England hospitality to their guests. The visitors repay with a service they can render.
A female member of the congregation invited King to be a part of the church choir.
She says that her husband directed the choir, and they hear King sitting in the pew singing, and the choir director comes to him and says, I want you to sing in the choir. And King says something to the effect of, well, where I come from, blacks and whites don't sing together. And she reports her husband responds something to the effect of, I'm not interested in the color of your skin, I'm interested in your voice, right? And you can sing, so join the choir. And I think those types of experiences are very formative for him. And he slowly begins to trust that there are white brothers and sisters who believe in justice, believe in equality, and are willing to work with him for it. And I think that journey starts in Connecticut.
Ethic began to improve when he became invested in the church. King realized the impact you could have on the community through the ministry, even as a black man. Religion was not only the driving force that changed how he viewed working at the tobacco farm, it also changed his future.
The tents come down. The student workers have returned to school. The big show is over for another year.
When he later applied to the Crozer Theological Seminary, King wrote, "My call to the ministry was quite different from most explanations I've heard. This decision came about in the summer of 1944, when I felt an inescapable urge to serve society. In short, I felt a sense of responsibility which I could not escape. In Connecticut, he began his journey spreading his message of peace and hope. His time in Connecticut had a profound impact on him. In fact, he would later refer to the state as God's country. This phrase had a twofold meaning for him. It was both a land free of segregation and the place where God spoke to him, where he found his calling as a preacher. He began to picture an America where a black person could attend any church, any restaurant, anywhere.
He went to the movie theater. He went to, he says, one of the finest restaurants in Hartford, and there was no segregation, and he was able to sit wherever he wanted to sit. He was able to go where he wanted to go.
King returned to work at Coleman Brothers in 1947. Those 2 summers were the first time he saw that integration was possible, an idea that inspired him and one he would never forget.
Will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
His time in Connecticut clearly had a profound impact on his later career, and therefore the modern civil rights movement. Whether King had an equal impact on Connecticut is a more debatable question. While King saw the state as a beacon of equality, as of 2026, Connecticut is ranked the second worst state for educational equality along racial lines. Connecticut, long known as the land of steady habits, still maintains the tradition of local control over school funding and policies. Despite the fact Connecticut is one of the richest states in the country, it is still not allocating enough money to schools in lower-income communities. Too often, this is synonymous with communities of color. This system perpetuates inequality and inequitable access to education, leading lower-income students and students of color throughout elementary to high school to be disadvantaged in higher education. MLK not only fought for the end of segregation and for political rights for African Americans, he knew there were other problems that connected to the greater issues. Foremost among these was his understanding that racial inequality and economic inequality have gone hand in hand in America. Martin Luther King Jr. Day poses a dilemma. On one hand, it is important to honor him, but on the other, it makes people think that enough has been done. Ending legal segregation and securing political rights for Black Americans wasn't enough. The issue of poverty had to be addressed. King was killed leading the Poor People's Campaign in 1968. He understood that equality of access to educational programming and opportunity was key to ending the struggles of Black Americans. While the United States has honored MLK's legacy in the nation with a holiday, it cannot be left at that. Individual experiences of hardships don't define people. This is what Martin Luther King fought for, and what he would want to see if he was alive today: equality of opportunity.
All of us are not going to be able to preach like King. All of us aren't going to be able to write like King. But I think what we can do is look at what talents we have, what time we have, and what treasure we have, and figure out how we can use that for the cause of justice and equality. That's it, right?
We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live A long life, longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.